Hi everybody, Southern Shoddy here, and I have noticed an upcoming trend of just Blender videos all centered around recent donations to Blender. And when I'm reading through the comments, I see a lot of people scared that there's no future for them if they want to be a Blender artist. And I wanted to do a video directly in response to that. So first, let me say, I think there very much still is a career as a Blender artist. As a professional Blender artist myself, I have over 10 years of experience. I've worked in 3 of the top 10 grossing companies, and I have friends and partners that have worked on others as well. And my hope is that I can share some advice from my own experience and help some new artists pursue a career in 2026. But first, we need to address the elephant in the room, which is AI. And I've seen the comments. You're sick of everybody talking about AI. So don't worry, this video is not going to be about AI, but we do have to acknowledge that it has had a noticeable impact on the creative career environment, which is why in this video, I'm going to give you 5 tips from my experience as a professional artist on how I think you can best set yourself up for success while pursuing a professional art career. And before we dive in, I'd like to say thanks to Storyblocks for sponsoring this video. Now, my mommy told me I'm a handsome boy, and she does not lie. But I have to admit, you're probably going to get bored staring at my face this whole time, so I'm just going to shift over here to the side and play some footage of me working in Blender while I talk to hopefully keep you entertained. Now, one of the common pieces of advice or encouragement I've heard floating around recently is that we will always need the human touch, which I believe is true. However, I don't think it really provides a good piece of advice with actionable feedback. So that's why the first thing I really think you should focus on is this means things like understanding visual contrast, composition, color theory, brand strategy, and more. I think the person that succeeds in the Blender art career now is the person that understands why an image is working and what is that human touch that people are looking for. And that's one of the signifying standout skills you can have right now. There's a lot of people getting into the artistic field that don't have a basic understanding of art theory. So some of my recommendations on how to learn these type of things would be to actually get some books. For example, 5 C's of Cinematography is a great book if you'd like to understand composition within a 3D scene. Painting with Light is an excellent book if you'd like to learn about how lighting can create depth in a scene through contrast and highlights. Now with color theory, it's hard to recommend one source of truth, so I'm going to give you several. This website right here is great because it actually takes films so you can see how they use color to tell the emotional beats of the story. Or if you go to Adobe's color website, they commonly post trending images and the color schemes associated with them, which is a really great way to learn how professionals are using colors. Now, I also mentioned visual strategy or brand strategy. The idea is that when you look at a brand, you look at all the various surfaces and areas that product or brand will appear, and you need to form a strategy so that it feels cohesive across those different surfaces. Now, this is something that is a very human-oriented skill. Well, the great thing is that a lot of the big studios out there, for example, Buck, Giant Ant, or Animate, post case studies on their website where they talk through all of their creative decisions about why they chose the colors, shapes, and styles that they did to communicate for brands. So I'd recommend going through big websites like that and actually reading through their case studies to try and understand why the art director and creative directors made the decisions that they did. Now next, as I said, AI has impacted the landscape, and one thing I've noticed is that deadlines are shorter and clients want things faster. So if you're working as a traditional artist, you need to learn how to... On the topic of speeding up workflows, this is a perfect time to talk about our sponsor, Storyblocks. Storyblocks is an all-in-one creative toolkit built to help creators tell stronger stories. Their library is 100% human-made, created by filmmaker and artists from around the world. They do not accept generative AI content into their library. It includes footage, music, sound effects, templates, and more, all in one place with a focus on storytelling. As a YouTuber and filmmaker, I love the templates and sound effects they have, which I've actually used in this video already. They have a lot of great resources for 3D artists as well. In particular, I love their grunge and roughness textures, which are great for adding surface imperfections like you see on the plastic here. I also love their effects video assets, which are great for adding things like steam, sparks, and other practical looking elements to your scenes. It's a great way to speed up renders and save time. They're also offering a limited time deal for this audience, only available through the link on screen and in the description below. So if you want to speed up your workflow and start telling better stories with the tools I use, check out that link. Now, it takes more than just asset packs or templates or resources to speed up your workflow. Instead, you need to be thinking about how you work as well. One advantage you have as a traditional artist is your ability to easily implement very specific feedback and alter the images or videos that you're producing. And on that note, you should consider that when building out your scenes. Whenever possible, try and work in non-destructive workflows or save multiple versions along the way. So this way, when you're working with a client or a boss and they ask for changes, you can revert back or alter your artwork very quickly. So try and not work in purely destructive workflows, because if you get too much feedback, you might end up having to rework or rebuild an entire scene. And from what I'm seeing with timelines, we're not really being given that much time anymore to implement that feedback. Instead, they want things turned around quickly. So consider it your superpower that you're able to make finite feedback and tweaks to your artwork, but also keep in mind that you need to be able to produce that quickly. So as you're working through your scene, prep yourself for success to make easy alterations later. Now, tip number 3 is to Now, this is not contradicting what I said in tip number 1, which is that you need to be broadly good at creative direction and art, but instead, you need to be broadly good at creative art and direction and specialized in a few niche skills. Now, I want you to lean in and really pay attention here. This might be the most important thing I say in the video, which is that we need to think about why people and companies automate processes. Generally, it's because it's going to be financially beneficial to them long term, because it takes a ton of time, money, and other investments in order to automate a process, which is why I think you should invest in what I consider to be safe skills, skills that aren't as likely to be financially beneficial to automate. So let me give you an example. I'm really good at JSON animation, a mobile-friendly format of animation used across many products and apps. It's a great skill to have on my resume. However, it's just niche enough that it wouldn't be overly financially beneficial to automate the process, at least in the near-term future. Safe skills are always going to be changing. So I'd encourage you to look at your career path and then try and identify what would be considered safe skills for the upcoming few years. Another example might be getting really good at a certain type of specialized rigging for interactive games, or maybe creating real-time shaders in popular render engine programs. There's a lot of safe or special niche skills out there. Just keep in mind that every couple of years, you need to refresh your skill set as technology changes and constantly invest in new safe skills depending on where your career is at that time. Tip number 4 is that now I've had the benefit of working alongside some of the best animators in the world, and I've been amazed to see at how fast certain people climb the ladder even when some of their peers are technically more talented than them, based off their communication skills. Communication is almost more important than your design skill set. But communication is a really broad term, so let's dive into some of the specifics of what I think makes good communication in an artist's career. First is clear and concise communication. Try and consistently communicate with either your client, your boss, or your teammates what you're working on, the challenges you're having, and how you're overcoming those challenges. You also need to be solution-oriented. So if you come to somebody with a problem, you should recommend 2 to 3 solutions yourself while asking for their input. This is a really great way to build good relationships with your clients or your boss. You need to manage expectations. If somebody comes asking you for a certain piece of artwork, communicate how long you think it will take and any potential issues that you might expect that could delay the timelines. By doing this, you can help build trust early on with the relationship through your honesty and set yourself up for success if you do run into a challenge later and need to come back and ask for more time. And then lastly, I would say get really good at giving feedback and taking feedback. Now, giving good feedback looks like giving objective feedback instead of subjective feedback. Subjective feedback would be things that are very opinionated and broad and not specific. For example, I don't like the image, it's boring. Or I don't know, that feels too whimsical. Instead, give objective, actionable feedback. That would mean that I don't like this image, it's feeling boring. I think we could solve it by boosting the color saturation, creating a bit more contrast with the lighting, and maybe introducing some new colors in the foreground lights. I think that could help it feel less boring. Now, just because you give good feedback doesn't mean you'll get good feedback, and you need to learn how to receive feedback and translate that. So let's give an example. Let's say that a client says, I don't like this animation, I wish it felt more delightful. I would ask, well, we could add more follow through and bounce animation and maybe make the circular arcs a little bit bigger, and that could make the character overall feel a little more delightful. Is that what you would like? So you can see how important it is to understand how to give good feedback so that when you receive bad feedback, you're able to translate it back to the client, art director, or whoever's in charge of the project to ensure that you're understanding what they're hoping to achieve. This sets you up for success and enables you to get the client what they want in 1 to 2 revisions instead of 10 with a lot of late nights from you and a bloated budget. Now, tip number 5 is, in the beginning of the video, I said I do not believe artists are disappearing, and that is true. But I would be lying if I didn't say that I thought certain jobs might be disappearing. And I think the ones that are left over are going to be much more competitive and sought after. And that means that it's going to be harder work to get those roles. But don't let that be discouraging. For one, you've made it this far in the video, which already tells me that you're dedicated to learning your craft and improving. Also keep in mind, don't be discouraged if you see other artists better than you. Talent is not something you're born with, it's something that you can learn over time. So if you just put in the hard work and dedication, I'm confident you can reach your goals. Now, I've done my best to summarize all of my experience into tips that I believe are relatively future-proof for people who want to get involved in the professional industry. That being said, we're definitely at a weird part in history right now where we are seeing a radical shift in what the creative industry looks like. And so, if anything, I hope that you found this video at least encouraging that if you'd like to pursue traditional Blender artwork, that I still think there is a place for you out there within that realm. If you found this video useful, please let me know in the comments, and if you have tips of your own, please share them as well.